All right, everyone. We're live. Mets just won yesterday. Beatty made his return. We'll get all that stuff about that. We got Jake on the mound tonight. It's exciting. Divisional play. It's always got some craziness to it. So other than that, we got tons of injuries as well. That's kind of sucked. We got a game that we can maybe play. I don't know if we'll get to it or not before the game starts. But other than that, this is kind of a pregame at the moment. So welcome to Mets Weekly, presented by Empire Sports Media.
On 3-2, Bader swings and misses, strike three. He struck him out. 5 big pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history.
Said my audio removed. I don't know why it just switched me down here. But anyway, Andrew, I'll let you start, even though you were late. Go.
Yeah, Rhino doing Rhino things. Start to a shitty week. Started off first 2 games, but last night was a bright spot. Obviously, we'll get to about the certain person why that was a bright spot, but got a chance to at least split the series and then go beat up on Philadelphia again. So DeGrom on the mound, and I just learned that if the Braves win this game and win 3 out of 4, they get an ice cream machine in their locker room. So we need to whoop their ass so they don't get ice cream. Jake, you hate ice cream, so do not allow the Braves to get ice cream tonight.
All right.
Their voodoo GM said if they took 3 out of 4, they'd get ice cream. They'd get an ice cream machine. So let's deny them their ice cream because I hate ice cream.
What are they, 12?
Yeah, where'd you read?
Exactly. They're idiots, but besides the point. Let's just deny them their ice cream.
Are they 12? Like what? All right.
And guess who was the main reason for it? Take a guess.
Robbie Grossman.
Travis d'Arnaud was complaining about the ice cream.
Of course.
Because in Miami, it's supposedly there's an ice cream machine in the visiting team's clubhouse. So Travis d'Arnaud was complaining that they don't have an ice cream machine in their home dugout. So.
What?
This is all real. Look up. It was on the radio. Yeah, just go look at it. It's real, but besides the point.
Frank?
Okay, well, tough to follow that up, but all I'm going to say is I hope it doesn't rain because the last thing we need is Jacob deGrom to pitch, have a rain delay, and then possibly come back out there. So we really don't want to do that a third time, so just don't rain. That's all I ask.
Yeah, that would be
the insider info.
I don't know where the hell you got that, but you know what? I'm just gonna.
It was on Twitter. Like Anthopoulos went on a radio.
Well, that
talking
makes
about
it true.
But no, he did an interview talking about the Harris extension, and then it got off topic, and then Travis wants ice cream, so the only way they'd get it if they won 3 out of 4 against the Mets. So there you go.
And what do we get if we split?
Oh, I don't know. We don't get shit. Just the Braves is trying to get ice cream. So let's just deny them ice cream.
Jacob deGrom perfect game. That's what you get.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll just start off with some recent takeaways of the team's play. They've been, I don't know how to say it. There's been some good and there's been some bad, and there's been some depression, little spurts of it, but we've hung on. Andrew, I'll give you, before we get to the rookie, overall game play of the Mets recently.
Again, obviously you were a little disappointed, but I think you could take a book from the team Crosstown. Not everything is butter drops and gumballs and rainbows. Like, you're gonna have your rough patches, and yes, we haven't gone to the levels of the Yankees where they just completely fell off the face of the earth and now they're just mediocre. But, nobody wants to admit it because they won like a bajillion games in the first half and they played like the worst in the, I don't know, think of a bad team, the Pirates since the July 1st, June 1st, whatever. But again, you're coming off a bunch of consecutive big series and you've won them. And you get kind of, showed up first 2 games, injuries, rain delays. Obviously in Atlanta, it loves the rain. So you've been screwed by the rain gods, and the Mets really haven't been injured. And if you think, I think I said this a month ago on Mets Week, like the Mets really haven't gone through like injury. Like, oh, you had the weird scare with Pete. You had the weird scare with Marte. You had the scare with what's it called? Obviously, you had Scherzer and DeGrom, but that was legit it. Like, you really didn't have long-term injuries with the Mets. I mean, relievers and McGill, but like that's once every 2 months. It seemed like once a month or once every 2 months it would pop up. But obviously, with this franchise, some dark days were going to come as great as this season, and that's always in the back of our minds is, hey, this is a good time, but how long is it going to last? I think this team will, and it has trended waters in this series. Like I said, got embarrassed the first 2 games. Last night's statement, Trevor May didn't want to an extent, but he got the last out, 350 feet to the warning track. But you've seen that not every series is going to be, we're going to whoop everybody's ass. That's just the fact of life. Even the Dodgers have been swept by the Pirates both series. Like, they can't beat the Pirates. But, like, we're going to go through struggles, and we really haven't gone through, like, a 10-game stretch where we go 2-8. We haven't done that. We've been pretty consistent winning series every single series, and that's just not reality to an extent. Like, yes, we've showed we haven't lost a series in division. Win tonight, that streak continues. But it's going to end eventually, just like the Mariners series, where like we didn't lose the series the first month and a half of the season, then they lost to the Mariners. We're going to go through struggles, but at least this team has showed if there's struggles, they don't last long. You still expect a week or 2 stretch where you're like, this is Nimmo isn't hitting or Pete isn't hitting. You're going to have those stretches, but the good teams and what they've showed can end them early, and this team has. It just, this week has been, we had a high and we thought we can kill the Braves. We go into Atlanta, we win 3 out of 4, we kill them, done for the year. But the Braves are a good team, and I think that's the best thing. I think people need to realize, I think they know how good they are, but like, we're a top 2 team. You can make, obviously, record-wise, whatever. The Braves aren't that far off. So, and they're going to be a pain in the ass to the end. So, a lot of fans thought, hey, we go into Atlanta, we can kill them. Go up 7.5. That was best case scenario. And also the Braves were pissed off that they came to our house and we bitch slapped them. They were going to look for a response, and they responded the first 2 games. Did they get lucky because all our pitchers get injured out in the second inning? Maybe they got a little lucky there. Who knows? But obviously, you win tonight, you split the series. When you go into a 4-game series, you expect to split. You'd like to go sweep or take out a 3 out of 4, but you expect to split. So hopefully Jake can come out tonight, take the split, and then go back to Philadelphia, which is a team that we've handled all year, and get back on that winning way this weekend.
All right, Frank, main takeaways before we get into everything.
The 2 things offensively, I guess, just the inconsistency of the run scoring because, on Friday you had the 1 run and Saturday you had no runs and then whatever it was. I mean, it's just like they had 1 run. Then against Atlanta, they have 6 runs the last game. Then 1 run against Atlanta, 0 runs, and then 9 runs. So I guess just a little bit that, we're going from 0 to 6 and 1 to 9. Like, there isn't much in between in these past couple of series. And then the other thing we really see is the depth. I mean, particularly on the infield. We saw that, as much as we like to, talk about Guillorme's ground ball rate or whatever, his speed on the bases, he's really important to this team because we don't have anybody else that really could play shortstop. I mean, we have to get guys from the Ducks in order to get somebody that can play a backup shortstop. So we really saw the Mets' depth get tested. And then the same thing happened with the pitching because we already have these reliever injuries, like Andrew mentioned, whether it's McGill, Andrew Smith, and Tommy Hunter. So then we found ourselves using the R.J. Alvarez's of the world and Steven Agosta coming back up. And when Carrasco left early and Walker left early. And it just exposed a lot of these things that we've seen all year long, where we talk about the depth of the bullpen. The starters is one thing, but then on the bullpen, it just hasn't been the same, where if these guys get hurt, the next guys that come up don't get the job done. And we almost had it once again with Trevor May last night, where it's like, if Ottavino or Diaz doesn't get the job done, who will? And it just becomes very, very frustrating. We really need to see some of these other guys step up because Ottavino and Diaz can only do so much. I mean, I really just want to see somebody else be that other guy in the bullpen, the back end, and high leverage that the Mets could trust.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy, and that's the thing. Like you've expected like those easy wins against Cincinnati and stuff like that, but we knew this was going to be a dogfight in Atlanta, and that's just something that we kind of expected. And to be honest, I'm going to say right now, yes, we lost our 2 pitchers early in those first 2 games, but they didn't hit. So how much can you really blame on, oh, well, we lost our starting pitcher? Well, that's the reason we lost. Well, they didn't score. So, I mean, that's what my main takeaway. Yes, it stinks to lose Carrasco, and stinks to lose Walker so early, but like, if we're looking at it from here, yes, RJ Alvarez came in, he was terrible. And Steven Nagosic wasn't the best. But like, at the end of the day, they didn't hit. They scored a combined 1 run in those 2 games, and that is the reason why they lost. You can't score 1 run and expect to win every single time. As well as our starting pitching has been, or as well as our pitching has locked down for 9 innings, you can't expect to score 0 or 1 run and win. That just can't happen. I'm not really sure what this is about. If someone wants to let us know, but
if there's a clip it and send it to me or Mets fan or Frank. Just if you guys are if it is real, send it to us. We'll see
send it,
what he's got.
I don't know if the Mets Weekly Twitter DMs are open, but if they are,
yeah, worst case, just tweet at me or Rhino.
I don't know what that's
or
about.
Mets fan.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about Mets-merized, but I don't.
That's
what
I was guessing. I was trying to figure it out, but if you got the proof, just tweet it at us.
Okay. Now let's get to the rookie who came in yesterday. First round pick back in 2019. Third baseman Brett Baty made his debut yesterday. The first swing that he took, it went over the right field wall. And young spark, that'd be nice to see. And that's something that I would love to, do with some of these young guys if they're ready. And, that's what we saw out of the 8-hole last night. And Beatty will be batting once again, 8th against a lefty today. So we'll get to see how he does against a lefty. We saw it last night, I think, for 2 ABs or whatever. And doesn't seem like he looks that phased. He was putting the ball in play every single time. So, Andrew, I'll start with you. This is your boy. He is here. He is finally in the majors after just a week in AAA. How do you feel about Brett Baty? How do you feel about his just career? Because remember, his major league debut, it defines his entire career. And that ground ball rate's high. So,
but the dinger rate is high. He did hit a homer. He's done more than Dom Smith done in the last 2 years. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was excited, obviously. Maybe did not throw that Chick-fil-A cow about 400 feet in pure excitement, seeing that ball go over the fence. But I didn't think it was getting out because I looked at it, I'm like, did he get that? Because Atlanta is just so weird because balls you think that are going 500 feet are dying in those short right center. But then you look at the Grossman homer, not the Grossman, the Eddie Rosario homer off Walker. And then even Beatty one, you're like, how the hell did that get out? Because I'm watching and I'm like, Acuna keeps going back. I'm like, oh shit, at least off the wall. And it's out of here. Obviously, you go nuts. But yeah, he put up good ABs, all 4 ABs. It wasn't like he was overmatched. Like they threw him Odorizzi first pitch curveball, which I expected. First pitch curveball, and then the second one throws another one, made a mistake, and Brett didn't miss it. Again, hit the 114 line piss missile to Swanson. Got a little unlucky there, whatever. And then a little ground ball, which obviously we hit a couple ground balls. But again, I prefer ground balls to strikeouts. Put the ball in play, and that's what Brett's going to do. Made a few decent defensive plays. Obviously, should have turned a inning-ending double play if, Pete Alonso were to just stretch out for that ball instead of waiting the ball to come to him. Stretch out and go get the ball instead of waiting, cost that extra second, cost him. But, he looked fine defensively, made a few plays. Again, he's not going to be, like in the video, I said he could be Evan Longoria. I think he can be that in years. He's not that right now. But I do think in a couple of years, he can be a quality, above average, potential Gold Glove candidate down the line, not right now. But he's continuing to improve. And then, again, we'll see the bat. He's taking a lot of pitches. Again, like you said, he's not over swinging. He really hasn't whiffed. Did he whiff at all yesterday? I don't think he did. I think he took the pitches outside corner. Sorry, I watched those a little more, again, just in-depth with his. But I don't think he whiffed at all last night. I think, obviously, he took the pitches outside. Everything was a ball.
No.
And then, again, he's hitting the ball hard. He hit the ball twice the other way, which you like to see. And then pulled the homer, which, again, called the ball up, waited back on it, and drove it to right center field, which we like. But, again, if this is a sign of what it can be, I'm not saying he's not going to be – I'm not expecting a Michael Harris. I'm not. If we get that, that's a bonus. Just be more productive than Eduardo Escobar was. And I can pretty confidently say he can't be much worse than Escobar. Maybe defensively, maybe, but if not, I'm as impressed. I can't wait to see. Again, had 2 ABs against lefties, didn't look phased. Max Fried's one of the better lefties in the league, so I want to see how he does against Max tonight. But again, if this is game 1, maybe hits you 12 homers down the stretch, you take that, play good defense, and we'll see where he goes.
Yeah, I don't think he whiffed once, but hey, bat's a ball. He's quick. He's got quick hands. So, Frank, what do you like about Beatty?
What I like about Brett Baty is we saw a lot of what his scouting report is and the things that we all liked about him. We said, okay, here's a guy that comes in. And I always said what I liked about Brett is that he is a hitter who acts older than his age. He's not one of those guys who's a 22-year-old, 20-year-old rookie that's swinging at everything, has no discipline, is taking crazy hacks. Brett Baty is a guy that he looks very relaxed in that batter's box. He took some, tough breaking balls in the dirt, didn't swing at him, went to the opposite field. Like, those are things we kept hearing about Brett Baty. He doesn't go out of the strike zone. He goes the other way. He's been pulling more this year, elevating, getting more home runs. That was something that really helped him out this year in the minor leagues. So the fact that in just a very small sample size, we saw all the things that we expected out of Brett Baty and seeing it translate from the minor leagues to the major leagues, obviously only one game, but the fact that we saw all the things we liked about him already, I think is a really good sign. And the fact they made an impact on his team, like Andrew said, I mean, compared to what Devin Marrero gave us the night before, like, just that alone was a major upgrade. Hitting the ball hard, that's all we're asking. I mean, he's batting 8th in this team. And it's like whether it was Nimmo or Lindor, whoever said, we're not asking him to be a savior. All I'm asking, like I said the other day, all I'm looking for is above average offensively, average defense. That's it. Do what you do. Do what the rest of his lineup does. Work counts. Make sure you're swinging at good pitches. That's what Brett Baty does. So he's going to fit in really nice with this lineup of just putting the ball in play and working pitching counts. That's all he needs to do. So a very welcome addition. I'm glad he's finally here. So hopefully his amigo is up next because, we look at this lineup right now. You got solid players top to bottom, and then you see a 9th spot, and it sticks out like a sore thumb now. Now we're getting production from third base. So if that other guy is ready in September, I hope we get him because it'd be a really nice lineup from top to bottom for like the first time in Mets history, pretty much.
All right. Well, I think it was very surprising that went over the wall. That home run went over the wall because it was kind of the outer part of the plate, and he just pulled it, which was weird. It's crazy, and that's some things that I've seen. Some like really strong power hitters are able to do. So it was a little awkward because he's a lanky guy. So, but other than that, I'm really I really am impressed. I really am, and that's the thing. I think. Maybe hopefully he's not, one of those guys, the other list, the other 4 guys, what was it? Mike Jacobs, Benny, hopefully he doesn't become one of those guys.
Matsui was on there.
Kaz Matsui, Mike Jacobs. Hopefully he's not like those guys. But those guys weren't first round picks. Those guys weren't highly regarded prospects in the top 20, almost in the top 15. And I really hope that this is, the guy that, stops it and he stops the graveyard. And I really hope that this is the guy you pass the torch to the hot corner to, and that's it. And we've talked about the maturity in him, and he just, we saw him walking in. He doesn't look phased at all. Like this guy, he's made for this type of environment, and that's what I like about him. But other than that, and you talk about prospects, the only way that you know if they're ready is the look in their eye. You know what I mean? You just got to look at them. If they look like a ball player, they're a ball player, and that's it. So, just whatever. And I love the guy's knowledge of the zone. That's something that I really like in my hitters is someone who's very aware, and knows if they're going to get tied up or not. So other than that, he looked great. He didn't look like he skipped, he missed a beat, just like how we saw him go from AA to AAA to the majors a week later. Doesn't look like he skipped a beat. Looks like he belonged there, and he's been here for 4 or 5 years. And that's what I like about this kid. And hopefully we'll get to see him just continue to play like this and play well. And again, like we've said, he's not here to be a savior. He's not a desperate need of offense because we have 7 guys who can put up a productive season at the plate, minus the catcher, obviously. But other than that, I mean, anything else on Beatty? Because this guy was anticipated for a while, and when when he was drafted, we're like, okay, well, this is the guy who's going to be the next one in line after David Wright. Once and that's kind of how they lined it up. But David kind of retired early. So, Andrew, anything else on Beatty? And then we'll get to the injuries.
Yeah, I mean, the media perspective of this was kind of shocking, seeing passing everybody just going nuts. Yes, he's a top 20 prospect, don't get me wrong, but the fact the most mainstream media attention this got kind of shook me a little bit. I mean, again, he was a top 20 prospect, but this wasn't an Adley. This wasn't like a J-Rod call. He's a top prospect, don't get me wrong, but usually though that's reserved for the guys when Alvarez gets called up, he's gonna have the mass, because he's the number 1 prospect overall in baseball. You would expect it. So I was a little shocked that way. But again, we'll see. Again, he's batting 8th. Again, like I said, there's no pressure on him just hitting that 8 hole. And maybe, if he hits, maybe he'll move his way up, because I do think eventually he'll probably fill into that 5 hole, depending on where maybe Ruff is. If Ruff against lefties, it's going to be depending. But I think he'll probably, hopefully by the end of the year, in that 5 or 6 hole. But we'll see. But again, good start. We'll see what it does against Free tonight, and let's see if he can keep it going.
Yeah, I'm excited. I really am. There's a lot of prospects that you just get very excited for, and that and we've had our fair share of first round picks who have had their success here. So, and I'm really happy to see him here. Didn't expect it at the beginning of the year, but I'm glad he's here. To be honest, I kind of saw it last year. I thought that they would carry out with Escobar, but you know what? They had 2 injuries on the third base side, and he's here, and doesn't look like he skipped a beat at all from AAA. Let's get to the injuries. We'll start off with Carrasco, because he kind of came first. Rain delay, I'd say, really kind of fucked him up. He wasn't pitching well to start it off. I think he gave up 3 or whatever. Still in that same inning that he was giving up those runs before the rain delay hit. He comes back, and then he just lands awkwardly, pulls something, and now it's oblique strain?
Yeah, low grade oblique.
3 to 4 week low grade oblique strain. 3 to 4 weeks. To be honest, I think it's going to be a little bit longer considering his age, but it was frustrating to see. And then you kind of just saw it repeat again with Taijuan Walker leave the next day. So, Andrew, I'll start with you. Carrasco's injury, how do they address this? How does it suck? How does it not suck? Go ahead. I mean, what are your takeaways from Carrasco's injury?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you had 2 times through the rotation, you had a completely healthy rotation, and that was it. Again, this is a blow, because obviously, even if he's the 5 starter, let's just say, how he's pitching his 5, he's still probably one of the better 5s in the game. Now you're losing your pitching depth. Now you've got to dig into Peterson again, Trevor Williams again. And that's why I wanted at the deadline, I said in our checklist video, hey, they got to add a Trevor Williams as starter. They didn't, and look what happened. Now you're going into, as much as I like Jose Budo or Michael Orrs or, anyone else in Syracuse, maybe they find a waiver wire guy like a Garrett Richardson, whoever. Now you got to go out externally to find more depth. And that's why we said, and we got shit for it, you can never have enough pitching. You think, oh, we've got this. Even look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers right now are probably at their 15th pitcher now with Buehler and Anderson, Kershaw being hurt, and they're still fine. The Mets don't have that. The Mets are, you're starting to see they have a good solid 10 guys. Maybe if you want to make your argument 10. If not, now you're looking at, okay, now you have to go, do you go Budo? Do you go Orrs? Do you now go externally? Which the Mets really haven't showed that they want to go externally for options. But this hurts, and it just shows that they didn't build it. Even the depth they did build, it wasn't enough, because, again, you can never have enough pitching. When you think you do, you're never going to. So we'll see. You know, if it's, you hope it's 4 weeks, but again, we'll see what happens if there is another minor league DFA claim that maybe they do that, or they do try to call up Budo or one of those guys. But it's gonna hurt. It's, you know, guy was always giving you 5 to 6 innings every start. Now you're taking it out of the rotation. Now you're putting it in the face of David Peterson and or Trevor Williams. Now taking one of those guys out of the pen. Even if you get Lucchesi and McGill back, you're not getting them back as starters. You would think you're probably getting them out of the bullpen. So now you're really going thin. If there was another injury in the rotation, I think that's even more. You know, hopefully now Taijuan maybe just misses a start. If, you know, hopefully not, but at worst is missing a start. If you lose another starter, you're in a problem. You're in a very big problem, running out of depth very quickly.
Yeah, just not all 5 can stay healthy at the same time. And that's just really just been a problem for us. I'd say, maybe since that 2015 team. No, we still had Wheeler out at that point. So I mean, we just never really have our top 5 just there, and that's just really been a problem for us. And it does make sense because we have an older side of rotation, but down the stretch of the season, it's just they didn't do enough. They really didn't do enough, and that's really really stinks. But they do have, Orzi. You're talking about Orzi. You talk about, Josh Walker. You talk about, if you want to bring in David Peterson, if you want to do something like that, Jose Budo, you talk about that. I like them, but it's like you can't rely on that to be for the starting stretch, the end of stretch of the season, to just say like, well, this guy is going to be, our guy to be number 5, if we have another rotation injury. You cross your fingers every single time, and I think it stinks that even though we have that veteran leadership and we have those veteran arms that have been in this game and have proven themselves to be very good arms, they are prone to injury even more than any pitcher in the game. But yeah, we'll get to the pen in a second. But Frank, do you want to add anything with Carrasco or Walker? And we'll get to I think we talked a little bit about Escobar.
I think the only thing is just that to see one of these starting pitchers get hurt is not a surprise, because we knew that going into the season that there was a lot of injury concerns with some of these guys, mostly because of the age, like you said, guys like Scherzer and Carrasco, being, mid to late 30s. DeGrom having all the injuries he had last year. Taijuan Walker, through the majority of his career, has dealt with a ton of injuries. So to all of a sudden see and Carrasco had a couple of injuries last year with the Mets. So to see these guys all of a sudden get hurt, it can't be like, oh, we didn't expect that. We thought we had 5 really durable guys. So I just would see them add some kind of arm at the deadline for the starting rotation, who has, like Andrew said, that versatility over Trevor Williams, where they can be in the bullpen, they can be in the rotation. To see them have somebody like that would have been really ideal, because you already knew that you weren't going to have Joey Lucchesi because he got hurt last year. And, even in the offseason, it's like you got Bassett, but that replaced Stroman. And then, you lost Syndergaard in the process. So I just feel like they didn't do, like, they upgraded the rotation, but then they didn't get, more upgrades after that, just in case there were any injuries. So that is very frustrating. And I just don't get their reluctancy to get those external arms, whether that is the rotation or the bullpen, because like we talked about, if Taijuan Walker does not make that start on Sunday, in all likelihood, you are seeing Trevor Williams moved back into the starting rotation. So that takes away from your bullpen. So we talk so much about all these different guys, whether it was Joe Smith or Sheffield or Duffy or all these McFarland, all these guys we've seen available on the waiver wire, that the Mets haven't claimed a single one, just to see if they have something, just to give it a try. It has to be better than the RJ Alvarez's of the world. I mean, I can't believe we talked like about Devin Marrero making a start at third base. I cannot believe that it got to the point in the Mets' depth that we had a guy pitch who had not pitched in the major league since 2015. I mean, it can't get to that point. You have got to have a lot of guys that have recent major league experience on your roster that could come in and fill in these kind of scenarios where there are rain delays, there are injuries, there are doubleheaders. All things are going to happen throughout the course of the major league season. You want to have more quality major league arms in the rotation and in the bullpen. So to see these, and You know what? We hope that we were past the days, because we've seen this for years where we have these guys who have no business on a major league mound in a major league field that start for the Mets. We just don't want to see that again. So that's the most frustrating aspect about it. I hope that the Mets use this as a learning lesson. So in the offseason, if they're just getting a bunch of guys to minor league deals who, again, like Andrew says, they may not have a good ERA. Maybe they don't have a good, baseball savant pitch, but they have some kind of strength. There's something about them that you feel that you could utilize that can just give you quality outings. You got to take a flyer on some of these guys and see if they stick. Because, I mean, how many players throughout the course of Major League Baseball is there a guy that comes out of nowhere who last year he wasn't any good? And that's what happens with relievers. A lot of times it's a guy that you never heard of, and all of a sudden they have a really good year because there was something you're able to figure out with them. So I would like to see the Mets do that, get a little more of these young experiment arms and see if they can make something happen with that. Yeah, Ken Giles, like that's another arm that's out there. Like there's options for the Mets that are better than RJ Alvarez and some of these other guys. Like they've called up Sam Clay multiple times, but are yet to use him. So I just wonder, how does it affect the relationship between Epler and Buck? Like Epler is bringing these guys in, but does Buck trust the guys that Epler is bringing in? Because he's very reluctant to use the guys. So, and we talked about the same thing with Joely, where Joely, he pitches like once a week or something like that. So Epler is giving Buck these players, but Buck does use them because he doesn't have any confidence in them. And how could you have any confidence in these arms? So I just think that whole aspect really needs to get straightened out going forward.
I'm looking at, the depth chart right now, and, it's just like from starters to relievers, you can bring in, these guys. You can bring in, anybody to the bullpen and anybody to the starting rotation, and it can move somebody to the bullpen. And you don't really have that many options as to right now. Mike Montgomery, no. Jordan Yamamoto recently, no. And then you have a bunch of guys who've been in the minor leagues for a little bit, and they really just have not really proved anything yet, and they just haven't really been that good. And I think that, like, you're walking such a tightrope here, and that's the problem. Like, and this is the one thing that we put out here. After the trade deadline, they're banking on all of these arms staying healthy, and it's just not the way to go. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that throughout the course of the season, in the post-game interviews and the pre-game interviews, when they were asking Buck about the bullpen, he just kept saying, oh, we're going to get Trevor back, and he's going to be really important. He's going to be a high-leverage reliever. We're going to get Trevor back. He kept saying that over and over and over again. Meanwhile, I see the same Trevor May. I see a guy that he can get outs, but every now and then, we saw it last night, he's going to throw a couple pitches that are right down the middle, and they get absolutely annihilated. Like, I am done with Trevor May. I have zero confidence in him in the big spot. And the fact that Buck was just so much like, oh, yep, Trevor May, when he comes back, that's going to be a high leverage guy. He just kept saying it over and over. You can't have that mentality. You cannot count on it because Trevor May and I proved that to you in the past. I don't care what his xFIP was, all these other numbers, because for the most part, he is good. But it's just that one pitch or those two pitches that destroy the whole outing when you're in a high leverage spot. You can't have 19 good pitches and then one awful pitch. It just doesn't work like that. It's a game where if you're a high leverage reliever, there's no room for error. And I just think too many times with Trevor May, we're seeing stuff like that. And last night was a perfect example. So I just don't like that kind of mindset. I want to see them really experiment and just get some other arms in here. Guys that are not absolute bums, ideally, and just see if you can make something happen with these guys.
Yeah, he's just I can't stand this, like, this fastball heavy shit that he's got with Trevor May exclusively. We'll get to the bullpen in a second, but I think we just talked about, like, just having them bank on this so much, and I don't know if whether all these waiver claims, the waiver line just didn't get to him yet, or something didn't happen, but, like, there's options out there, and you got to pick somebody up. Because you look at some of these arms they're bringing in here. Yes, they're like the eighth arm in the bullpen, but like in emergency situations of Taijuan Walker going out and Carlos Carrasco going out. Like, you're going to have to keep these guys in the middle of the game. And it's like, I don't want to see RJ Alvarez again. This guy's been a mess in AAA. We watch AAA games all the time. Me, Andrew, we watch these AAA games. This guy cannot throw a strike. He's wild. He's crazy. Sam Clay, what do we know about this guy 100%? I mean, decent stuff. Can he throw a strike? I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. They really should just do something and like just add something. I understand that the infield depth, and then they brought in Yalmer Sanchez today, but it's like, do something more. Like, be more aggressive than that right now. This is the final push. This is like getting into September baseball. This is the time where you go full on, all in, and connect the dots, put in those little pieces that you need. And I'm just not seeing. I'm not really seeing a sense of urgency from the front office, but I'm seeing a sense of urgency from the players out there. And that's something that I like, because we have a sense of urgency type of manager. That's good. Up from the front office, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm seeing right now.
And the question has to be asked, like, is Sandy the one making the decisions? Because he does a lot of talking. Is he still the guy in charge? Maybe.
I mean,
it feels like it.
He is. By rank, he is. But it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe once he leaves, we'll see more aggressiveness. I don't want to see spurts of aggressiveness. I want to see it spread out, and I want to see them, day by day build this up. Because, we saw our spurts of aggressiveness, right? We saw that Black Friday pickup of Escobar, Canna, Marte, just like that. But it's like, show me some consistency. Dodgers, when they see a guy that, is available, pick him up, send him to AAA. What has he got? And then we'll bring him up to the majors, see what he has, and maybe he can be a piece. But it's like, I don't know. I think they just have to be a little bit more aggressive with these tiny pieces that can really help you out long term along the way and along that stretch of the season. Because again, banking on these guys to stay healthy, it's just, I don't, again, fully healthy, the staff looks great. It's a great staff when it's fully healthy, but like one slip up, then you're in deep shit with RJ Alvarez and Sam Clay and who's the other guy they brought in? I don't even remember. Well,
they called him Negosic, but
Negosik's been like whatever. But all right. Well, another guy I thought of, but I won't say his name.
Please don't.
For Frank's sake.
Obviously we can't say that guy's name.
There you go. Let's get to just the bullpen in general. I really want to just talk about the bullpen, and then we'll see if we can get this. Okay, so we all know the general knowledge right now. Diaz locked down. We already know he's the closer. He's coming in at the ninth, and he has been absolutely dominant, putting up possibly the greatest reliever season we've ever seen. Adam Ottavino yesterday, we knew a blow up was eventually going to come from him. He has those moments. Does it suck that it's come in this moment, like in that game, in that scenario? Yes. He's still not walking guys, which is fine. He's able to throw the strikes. But like, all I can say is that we have these two pieces that have been good for, let's say, 90 to 100%, with Diaz and Ottavino. We've seen Seth Lugo have good outings in the second half, and then we also have seen him lose his head a little bit. But other than that, I don't know how much I want to approach this with, from either it's just waiting for McGill to come back, or if they're, actually, banking on, maybe one of these young guys like Budo or like Josh Walker taking over the rotation and moving one of these guys to the bullpen. But the bullpen scenario, the full-on bullpen scenario, because they have a lot of holes in this. We also have, Tommy Hunter. We've talked about him. He's rehabbing right now. You don't know how long he's going to stick. So, Andrew, I'll start with you with the full-on bullpen. Like, how do you feel about this? Like, are you willing to, like, I don't know, you're willing to wait this out? Are you willing to, like, I don't know how I want to word it, but how do you feel about the bullpen right now? Is there a major concern?
We've said this since the post deadline that they didn't do enough, and this is what you reap, this is what you sow. So this is what we told you. You needed an extra lefty and you needed another high leverage guy. They didn't do it because Epler was like, "Oh, the prices were too high." Whoop-de-doo. And now you're seeing what you've had. Lugo has been better in the second half. I will say that he has looked better. Trevor May is abysmal. Obviously, Ottavino had his first stinker in a while. I think April was like the last time he had the Castellanos homer in Philadelphia in like May. That was like the last time Otto had like a big
Nick
blow-up.
Fortes,
But
Peacock.
Nick Fortes.
That's not his
hung
fault.
one.
Stop it.
It happened. But like, I mean, an actual like blow up, like multiple run. I mean, he has a walk up, but like an implosion, that kind of thing. But yeah, they were living in the bed of, we're gonna get Trevor May back. We'll get so and so. Epler believed in that. So this is what he thinks. So this is what Epler wanted. He trusted his guys, and now he's getting burnt, and he's not being aggressive externally. And they're gonna wait for Drew Smith to come back. They're gonna wait for Tyler McGill to come back. Tommy Hunter, yada 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 yada. So we can complain, we can yell, we can say, "Hey, you didn't do enough," when we know you didn't. But this is what we got to deal with. And this team is built on starting pitching. So they expect starters to go 7. And starting with the guy on tonight, enough of the baby steps. It's time for you to start getting deep because the team needs the rotation to get deep with those 2 guys, 7 every start. So you can only need to get 6 outs out of your bullpen. That's what this team's built off of. The starters going deep so you can limit the outs needed. Yes, this week is not going to plan. Obviously, now you're losing 2 injuries. Now you're losing kind of that power of, hey, you've got 5 guys who can go 7 and 6 plus the 7 every start. Now you lost 2 guys. We're going to complain about it because we all know they're going to have these games where it's 9-2 and then they end up winning 9-8 or 9-7. They're going to have those games, and it's just what we're going to have to deal with. We know Seth Lugo, who's been better. He's going to blow up. We all know Trevor May is a walk case, and it's Joely Rodriguez is the same thing. You can put Joely in a 9-1 game. Joely's not leaving until it's at least 9-4. So we can complain. We can yell. They believe in it, and that's their plan. So we got to stick with it. We could be right and said, hey, they needed to trade Robertson for Robertson. They needed to go get a Fulmer at minimum. They didn't do that. They were too scared of the prices. So this is what we got to have to deal with. We're going to hope that Lugo can stay hot and get through the next month and a half clean. Otto is just, hopefully that's a one outing, just stinker in Atlanta, and next time he goes back to being Adam Ottavino. Obviously, you've got lockdown in the 9th inning. So the Mets' plan is hopefully the starter can go 7 and then just get 3 outs to get it to Diaz. And if they can do that, they can win a lot of games. But again, we are concerned of those 3 outs, if it's not Adam Ottavino or obviously in Diaz, is getting the ball to Diaz. So we're going to complain. We're going to yell. We're probably going to come on here until the end of the season complaining about 1 game or 2 games. It's just what we got to do. Can McGill be that? I hope it is. I don't have any, hope. I can hope that he can do that. Obviously we saw David Peterson in the 8th inning. That didn't work. So yes, McGill has more minor league appearances as a reliever. So there's more trust in McGill to do it. But again, he hasn't done it on the big league stage yet. So you hope you get McGill as that lockdown 8th inning guy. You get Drew Smith back. Yes, high fly ball, home run waiting to happen. You get some of your arms back, and maybe Billy Epler wakes up and grabs a guy off the waiver wire, an arm that, again, you can get a good 2-week stretch out of to maybe get that, fill the hole between that and getting a McGill back or Lucchese back or whoever. But again, we're not confident besides the 9th inning, and that's just, they didn't change it, and there's no reason to change or have a different opinion. Just what we got to deal with.
Frank, with Yohan Lopez just getting called up today. I'm joking.
No, please don't. I'll take John. I think we lost St. Locke, whatever the heck his name was. I think we lost him too, but he wasn't good anyway. It's like Andrew said. It's so frustrating. It's so many. We have like those big leads, and you're like, okay, at least we got a nice, easy game. we could just relax. Mets win 8th inning, 9th inning, no problem. And then these guys come in like the Joey Rodriguez of the world and just walk the ballpark and make it a competitive game. And here's Adam Ottavino warming up. Here's Edwin Diaz warming up. And it's like, can we not? I mean, we've just done this too many times, it seems like. I mean, when was the last time the Mets actually had the big lead and kept the big lead? It feels like it never happens because these other guys they put back in the game. I mean, just look at last night, for example. Mets are up, was it like 6-1, 6-2, and all of a sudden it's 6-5. Then the Mets are up 9-5. It becomes 9-7, and Acuna hits a barrel to right field. I mean, that was almost gone as well. Like, you blew two pretty sizable leads in the same game in the course of like 2 innings. So it just becomes so frustrating when it happens on such a consistent basis. And now that non-waiver trade deadline is not there anymore, like you're just playing the waiver wire. And again, Mets won't claim anybody because it's against their rules or whatever. I don't know what the case is, but it's just very frustrating because we've seen it just a crazy amount of times. And we hope that it's not, the thing that ultimately ruins them. I mean, we've seen the Dodgers. They've had their struggles in the 9th inning, no question about it. But at times it definitely gets a little scary and they get it done most of the time. But I just always worry about the effectiveness of Ottavino and Diaz, that if you overuse these guys come late September, come October, how much will they have left in the gas tank? Because we did it to Justin Wilson. We've done it to plenty of guys where everybody else was so bad, we had to count on them to pitch more than they should have. And then they aren't as effective at the end of the season. Same thing happened to Chase and Shreve in 2020. I know 2020, take it with a grain of salt, but that did happen to him where the Mets, they were like, oh, we got to use him in high leverage now. And then he ended up being awful. So I don't want to see that happen again. I just would like it if these other guys could get the job done so they could really use Ottavino and Diaz for the games where it really matters, so that if you have to use Diaz for 2 innings, you can. If you have to use him with a guy on base, you can, because you're able to rest him in those other games because, Michael Givens protected the big lead and Trevor May protected the big lead. If those things can happen, I just think it helps you more on a long-term basis. And then you don't have to always be so reliant on the starting pitchers as well. It's like we shouldn't need Chris Bassett to go 115 pitches in 7 innings every time. We shouldn't need Max Scherzer to go over 100 pitches every single time because we're like, oh, maybe you can count on the bullpen. It shouldn't have to be that. And like Andrew said, today's got to be a big day for Jacob deGrom. They need to go 7 innings. I want to see like 7 innings, 85 pitches. That's the kind of benchmark I'm at right now, deGrom. If you could give me that, I would be happy.
Yeah, we'll see what they do again. Like, I don't know where Andrew's going with the leash of deGrom and saying that he needs to just go throw 150 pitches. But you know what?
No, you need to get out of this 5 and fly crap. I want 5 and fly out of Trevor Williams.
You're the one who complained about him being hurt all the time. You're the one who complained about him being hurt all the time.
Again, he's gone at the end of the year. I'm treating this last month and a half like he's gone. Work. Time to go to work. 7 tonight. Enough of this babying this guy. This guy's gone in 2 months. Work him.
You want him to get hurt?
He's leaving. He's not my problem in 2 months.
Well, okay. Well, I think they actually want to keep him because he's the best pitcher in baseball. But I mean, you're just looking at this like he's just money to you. But all I can say is that I'm not trying to hurt Jacob deGrom when you just lost 2 of your back end rotation guys.
Ken, you know why? Because the Mets lost. Is that a crazy concept? He didn't pitch Monday, Tuesday because they're getting their asses kicked. I mean, that's why.
All I can say is that, yes, they're winning these games that like the bullpen is blowing up in, but like you're telling me you're full on confident in this team going to actually, you can't count on that to happen in the postseason. If you're up 10-2 and you're playing a team, right?
Dodgers.
Has a good the Dodgers that has a good offense that can explode at any time with one spark.
How many times the Astros just absolutely destroy us?
At one point, 10-2 becomes 10-5, and then 10-5 becomes 10-7, and then 10-7 becomes 10-9. So, I can't say that I'm just going to be like, okay, well.
And you were happy when the bullpen was giving up 13 runs, right? I mean, that was fun to watch. I mean, the pitching is great. I mean, you
Yeah,
got to
the
love it.
pitching is
RJ
fantastic.
Alvarez, all these guys, Yohan Lopez making games as intense as they could be in the 10th inning against the Chicago Cubs, the games against the Washington Nationals, the game where Jacob deGrom was up 1-0, and then Yohan Lopez comes and gives a home run. Steven Nagasa gives a home run, and they lost that game. They didn't win. It's not a sustainable blueprint. It's not a kind of model of success that's going to help you for the entire season.
I think it's just like the thought of like, I just hate the thought. And again, we'll go back to this once again. I hate that whole thought of like, okay, well, you have a full bullpen. Well, you're fine. Like, you need guys in minor leagues who can come in. It's just how it is.
If the Mets didn't score those extra 3 runs last night, do you know who was going to pitch 2 innings? Edwin Diaz. He was going to have to do the 8th and the 9th because these other bums can't step up and get the job done. So he's fortunate that the Braves brought in a bum that the Mets were able to get some runs off of. So that's why he would be overused, because guess what? If the Mets don't score those runs in the 9th inning, Edwin Diaz is not available today. That's how the game works.
Yeah. So I think it's just like, you're looking at it. It's like, I know you're playing it day to day and like, okay, well, we got this win. But like, I don't understand how like you can just look at it and just be like, okay, well, we have 2 good relievers. This is, we have 2 good relievers. This is good for the 8th and 9th every game. What? Okay. And that's what you're looking at. The thing is that you can't really, it's so hard to like see like these empty spaces that you have on this roster, guys who have not really proved anything. You have your Sam Clays. I guess I can put Joely Rodriguez in that category because, well, he's had a lot of blow-ups. So, you have Trevor May, who is just, in his tenure with the Mets, he really hasn't done anything. So he hasn't really proven he hasn't really shown what type of pitcher that he was in Minnesota. Not just the fact that he's just, not pitched well. It's the fact that he's not really that big strikeout guy anymore. We're not really seeing him just get strikeouts at will right now.
No.
So I need what I need. Here's what I need. Okay. I need guys that cannot
blow 10-2
lose.
games. Do they do that?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's not a flaw. That's a problem.
Do the Mariners do that?
Yeah, maybe once a year. They're the Mariners. They're the Mariners.
It's just I want guys who actually don't lose their head 9 out of 10 times. That's what I need. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
we are winning.
Ken, listen. If they lose the game, it's 2.5 over the Braves. We're Mets fans. Yes, we're miserable. If you don't like it, if you're talking about us whining, meanwhile, all you're doing is complaining about us complaining, then don't watch. It's very simple.
Jesus.
Get him.
You're complaining about us complaining. I mean, what success are we having? What's the win-win?
The chain of the internet right there. That's the chain of the internet. Okay, so all I can say is that you're looking at it from here.
You know why we're miserable? It's because of what happened in 2015 of all these relievers that didn't get the job done, of Jerry's Familia not stepping up, of Tyler Clipper not stepping up, and what happened in 2006 with Aaron mother-freaking Heilman. That's why we're miserable and we're worried about the bullpen. Easy cop-out. You know what? I got a cop-out right for this one. There you go. There's your cop-out. There you go. Take a hike. Goodbye. We're done.
Oh my God. Welcome to August baseball, folks. But like, all I can say.
Yeah. The last time the Mets were in the playoffs, genius. And why didn't the Mets go to the playoffs in 2019? Their bullpen. Oh, yay!
Andrew.
What do you want me to say? This guy's going off. This man definitely didn't take his medicine. This man's going crazy. But again, you just built. They didn't build enough depth, and also the injuries again. And I've been obviously a big guy building depth, but when you're now 5 injuries in your pen, it's 5. You have your original 8, 9, 8, whatever the original number for the original opening day healthy rosters. Then you have guys going down. Now you're 5 deep, and now you just keep scratching. Yeah, would you love them to do? The Dodgers do. They just seem to grab everybody on minor league deals. They do that. Dylan Betances, they took a shot with Dylan Betances. He retired. That's how bad he was. Like, the Mets don't even do that.
Yeah, they signed Tommy Kahnle to the 2-year deal.
Yep.
You know, things like that. They signed Danny Duffy, who got hurt. It didn't work out, but they're trying, you know. They signed Andrew Heaney. Like, they're just trying to get as many arms
and
as
again,
possible.
I've talked about the aggressiveness in spurts. John Curtis. They did that with John Curtis just now, right? So
that's the only problem.
they're capable of doing it. It's just like, can they do it
well,
consistently? They're like, okay, well, I need this piece. Let's get this piece.
Let's get the piece.
You know, be a front office. That's what I'm asking.
I just like you looked at it and like I can't believe that he looked. Epler went post deadline and said, "Hey, we just didn't want to pay for it." Like if this team was, let's say, the Phillies, where the Phillies are at right now, fighting for a wild card team, you know, should probably a playoff team, but not a championship contender. I could take that excuse. You want to take, you know, you want to hold on to Vientos. You want to hold on to Vientos. Okay, you don't want to trade him for a reliever. Fine. If we were in the Phillies situation, we are in championship window. Like, we are one of the top 4 teams in baseball. Take your pick. I think we're like that 3 or 4 spot, whatever. We're in win championship or bust. And yes, maybe has this, and we made this clear throughout the offseason that like Rome wasn't built in a day, but this kind of whole team has been like quick fast track to like a lot of success. You have DeGrom for 1 year, you have Scherzer for 3. You kind of have to fast forward of like, hell, everybody's hitting. Pete's back to being Pete. You know, Pete's having an MVP season. McNeil's back. Lindor's back. You've got all the offensive production. That's sped up the timeline. But I think if Alderson is the guy making the, you know, obviously if Epler's the GM, but Alderson still has the power, him not realizing that, like, we have a chance to win the World Series this year. Like I said, Jacob deGrom isn't guaranteed to be here next year. Everyone's just like, it's a good chance. That's not a guarantee. So that should have sped up the priority of say, hey, we have a chance to win the World Series. Go for it. And he didn't want to trade of Vientos. Let's say it was Budo. Let's say it was, you know, whoever. And that's going to come back to cost him. And he put faith in Trevor May, who he has said on MLB Network that Trevor May has been good in a Met uniform. He has said that. There was a clip of him and Mad Dog Russo on whatever his show called, saying Trevor May, because I think Mad Dog said he sucked as a Met, and he blatantly said, oh, no, he hasn't been that bad as a Met. But besides the point, he believed the guys.
If you think that, no, I'm sorry, but if you think that Edwin Diaz hasn't maybe been overused, how about August 4th against the Braves, he had to go 2 innings. August 6th, that first game of the doubleheader, because all the bums, mainly Yohan Lopez, couldn't get the job done. Diaz had to come in that game. Then he had to pitch again August 7th. So it's stuff like that that gets you kind of worried, where it shouldn't need to be 2 innings, then come in because the guy can't get the job done with the big lead, and then, oh, yeah, pitch again the next day. That's the kind of stuff that could get somebody injured. You cannot be doing that and relying on that on a consistent basis.
What's it called? Just go
again, these
look
are guys
up Billy
that haven't
Epler
proven
and
anything.
Like last one, but
again, these are the guys that, you know, Deoka, as much as I like him, it's just like these are guys haven't proven anything yet. You're in a final stretch of the season where you have to get to the playoffs, and you know, you have to have a roster of 26 guys that can, you know, put you in the best scenario to win a championship. And, you know,
and
there's some holes here where you're like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what's the deal?
And I guess I understand, because obviously in the postseason, you're not going to hold 8 relievers. They're going to carry Peterson will be on the roster. Williams will be on the roster. You're probably not going to see guys like Lopez and what's it called on the playoff roster. I'm just talking playoff roster. If everybody's healthy, you're not going to see these guys. Because you have Peterson on full spot, you'll have Williams on the spot, you'll have a long man. Because obviously in the playoffs, you're going to use your big 3 or 2, and then you hope to fill if McGill's that third. Let's say McGill's that third piece. You'll see those guys in every game, and if the starter goes out early, you can have Peterson, you can have what's it called as your long man in the playoffs. Getting to the playoffs is a different story, obviously, but what the hell? I literally lost track what the hell I was going to say now. Shit. Come back to me. Come back. So Frank, say something. Go piss somebody else off, Frank.
No, I'm just trying to find, like, I'm hoping that maybe Lucchesi could be a guy, you know. I'm really, because from the left side of the bullpen, we're getting literally nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. It's just been very, very frustrating because, you know, you're going to have those times where it's like, okay, you're facing Olsen, you're facing Freeman, you're facing Juan Soto, like Yordan Alvarez. You're going to be facing some pretty good left-handed hitters. And the thing that worries me about Joely is that, like, okay, maybe he just walks the lefty so they didn't give up a home run, but then he's got to face the righties after him. So now with that 3-batter minimum rule, Joelly's like a guy that you can't really use in that kind of instance. If it wasn't a thing, maybe you could get away with it. But I think Joelly could just do so much damage in the span of 3 batters with his control issues that you can't risk it with him. Even if there's 2 outs, you can't risk it.
I will say one thing. If Lucchesi does come back, I don't think Joely Rodriguez makes this this postseason roster. Like like he's just been miserable. Like I he has his ups and downs, and he has his this and that. But it's like you see this guy come in, like you're like, what are we gonna do here? Like it's gonna be a 40-pitch inning, and that's the same thing I go through with Peterson. It's like. You're killing me, dude. You're making me nervous. You know, whether he gets through it or not, you can't be on the ropes like this all the time. And that's just how you look at it. And you have a lot of guys in this bullpen and the current 26-man roster as we speak right now that you're like, they're just guys that you bring in when you're blowing someone out. They're guys that you bring in when you're losing by a lot. I'm put Darren Ruff in that bullpen at this rate. Like you have a lot of holes there. And that's concerning. It really is concerning. And hopefully they address it. Maybe they
and even Joely, he threw 22 pitches on Sunday and then another 25 on Monday. So I mean that's a recipe for success.
All right, now one last thing on the pen, which if you look at every other good team, besides maybe the Braves, because the Braves really haven't done it because their bullpen doesn't really rely on velocity. Every other team seems to be able to develop. I'm going to use Andres Munoz as an example. Their version of Andres Munoz, a guy who just throws 102 and nobody can hit him. You look at Deoka can be potentially that. And I know we had Colin Holderman, but Holderman wasn't throwing 100. Josh Walker is Budo is a no this weekend. He's pitching tonight, so Budo will be a no this weekend. I just saw Resnick tweet that out. So Budo is a no for this weekend. But back to the Mets haven't developed that. Where a guy you just throwing pure velocity, which he can be a 2-pitch pitcher. I mean, obviously excluding Edwin Diaz, that doesn't count. But like one of these guys who just throws 100 and is just unhittable that way because he can just dominate with his fastball. You look at Bruce Dog Gratterall. Yes, is he the best pitcher? No, but he's got that when he's going right, he's throwing 102 mile-an-hour sinkers. Nobody's hitting that. Obviously Andres Munoz is the example I brought up. The Mets haven't developed that. Like Colin Holderman
gave up a home run to Patrick Bazika.
What?
Great example, loser.
Shut up. That was once in a blue moon that happened.
Listen, I'm not a big tie down to moments or whatever, but it's Patrick Mazika, dog.
Is that his only career barrel, by the way? Is that his only career barrel? I think that might be his only barrel.
He's got a few.
Yes, and I'm gonna be even more depressed if you keep spamming. So please stop. Thank you.
Mazika stinks. Yeah, exactly. So that was a terrible example.
Do you think I was gonna claim him? I don't think so.
Mariners.
I was Mariners. No, Mariners.
Oh, because he's a former Met. Yeah, and then like Jankowski, they'll release him like in a day.
Syracuse Mariners. Come on now.
All
right.
All right. Game's about to start. Closing statements, shall we say? Andrew, last thing that you want to say?
We're just a bunch of miserable 20-year-olds and a 90-year-old man who just hates life. But Brett Beatty and Kenny Omega did show up last night, so I'm very happy. See if Brett can do it again tonight. And, go give the Braves a bunch of butt sex.
All right. We went an hour. Okay. Frank, go ahead. Last thing.
We're all good. Nothing to worry about. Bullpen is great. We got a bunch of depth. Everybody steps up. We win games. We're in first place. 35 games over 500. We are good to go. So thank you, everybody, for watching.
Okay. Last thing that I want to say, everyone shut the fuck up. Jacob deGrom is pitching, so I don't care about anything in the world. Great to see Beatty back. Let's hope that these injuries can, resolve themselves maybe. And, we'll all get into a prayer circle and we're like, okay, well, everything's going to be great at the end because it always is. So other than that, beat the Braves in this final game and then off to Philly. But other than that, we'll probably have might have a video tomorrow. I don't know. I still don't know. Depends on how this video is going to do, how this game is going to go. But other than that, guys, we'll see you guys next time. Make sure to go to empiresportsmedia.com for all the New York sports. Not just baseball, football, basketball, all that stuff. Follow all of our links. They're in the description. You all know the drill. But other than that, we'll see you guys next time. LFGM. And yeah, we'll see you guys.